Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 42 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host Johnny, and today we've got another full screen. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, getting used to this lockdown crap, but here we are on another Zoom.
Darcy kind of firing.
I don't like this this four screens thing because I can't reach over and grab Akram by the neck.
How you doing, Ak?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I've barricaded myself in the garage just because I'm afraid of everyone getting me sick right now, including my wife. She's over there.
Do you know what I was thinking earlier today? I haven't said this off camera. Darcy, you had a baby not long ago. Ak, you had a baby this year. I had a baby this year. One of our guests, Neil, had a baby last month. Fatty, do you have any news for us or anything?
No news, mate. No news on that front at all.
I think the Football Retro Podcast brings babies into the world.
The next generation of Football Retro panels.
I just was thinking about it today. That's how exciting my life is in lockdown.
Yeah, you're thinking about who's having kids next.
Speaking of excitement, what a weekend in football's history. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? It was a big moment in football's history.
I would say this is a very pivotal moment and one that we'd look back on in years and be like, fuck, I remember when that happened. I think it's one of those moments.
Yeah, well, we had Go, Darcy, go.
I was going to say, considering that we all thought the matter was put to bed, literally saying that he was going to, do what he was going to do, and then all of a sudden the new breaking news came out. Can
I correct you? Not everyone thought that. There's one person in this panel who last week said, "Well, it's not over to this pen to paper," and then Fatty and I were like, "Shut up, Akram, shut up, it's done." So to our defense, Messi saw the same thing. It's done. I'm here. I'm going to sign. It's all done. But Akram and Barcelona knew something else that we didn't. Hey, Darcy.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, we knew what was going on. We thought it was just the formalities being done, bad about when, not if. But yeah, it looks like the issues just came to the core, and here we are now.
So yeah, I think it was just more a fact of our assumptions were based on the fact that everything that was being touted and what was being coming out of the media was that Messi didn't want to leave. And when you have arguably the best player in the world not wanting to leave a club, surely that club's not going to let him go. So no one assumed that if there was ever a breakdown, it would be because of the club and the player didn't see eye to eye, considering Messi agreed to take pay cuts and all that sort of stuff. So what really blindsided everyone was the fact that La Liga pretty much fucked the whole thing up. No one expected that, and that's where the surprise comes from, I suppose.
Well, I guess it wasn't assumptions on our side either, because that was reality. Like I just said, Messi went on holidays. He was under the impression of everything was agreed between Barca and Messi. Yes, everything was done. I'm going to come here, finish my holiday, come and sign. And then when he gets home, he was told, no, this is not happening. So he was blindsided as much as we were, which is a surprise considering the history this club and player have to be treated that way. I'm going to give a 10-second image of what was happening, and you guys jump in and correct me or add to more information from what I saw in the press conference, in the last two press conferences. So the agreement was, it was actually a 2-year contract, but it was going to be paid across 5 years.
Yep.
And La Liga said, no, you're not allowed. I don't understand the legalities, I understand what's going on behind the scenes and how it all works. But that was the case. Obviously, when this happens, a lot of questions start arising in regards to, can they do something else? Can Messi play for free for 2 years and then get paid afterwards? Are there loops that can be happening? We still don't know, because sitting on the outside, you think, surely there's a loop in there somewhere where if you both
Yeah.
club and player really want to make this work, it could happen. Why can't you sign a 5-year contract and then go on loan for 3 years? I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas of, is there something else behind the scenes that we don't know about? Because every fan's asking the same thing. If you really wanted to make it happen from both ends, surely there's a way to make it work. Am I right?
I agree. I genuinely thought that even when all this talk started to come out and the rumors, even to the very last moment when they said, the club made a statement and said Messi can't stay here, I personally thought that it was just a ploy to release him from any old contract that may have had some sort of red tape around it or something, and start something new or start something different, or come in as a fresh player, removed from the FIFA fair play or salary cap issues, whatever you want to call them, under La Liga, which, to be honest, I don't think anyone was ever aware really existed, because even if they did exist prior to this, they weren't ever enforced. Just look at Real Madrid and Barcelona squads over the past decade. I don't think anyone enforced FIFA fair play in La Liga. So
they tried with Man City, and then Man City appealed, and they got off scot-free.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
is
so-
La Liga and UEFA different?
Yeah. So this is not a financial fair play issue. This is a salary cap that was, and maybe Darcy might know a bit more. This is a salary cap brought in by La Liga because of COVID. So this was a COVID reaction, a reaction because of COVID. They instituted a salary cap at the beginning of 2020 or so. It's relatively new. I think the issue that everyone had, right, is that, like Johnny said, surely there is a way to manipulate the contract. And we've seen it here in Australia, being fans of so many sports here in Australia that have salary caps. There's a way of manipulating the contracts, get like 80% of it on the back end of the deal, all those kind of ways, right? That surely you could have fit him in. And like Johnny, you alluded that perhaps there is something a bit more to it. And a lot of people think that the president of La Liga is trying to use this as leverage, and try to use this as leverage to manipulate Barcelona to get out of Super League. And because Barcelona, for some reason, were unwilling to, that La Liga kind of got their revenge and kind of smacked them around.
Okay. I didn't know it was a COVID thing that came in only last year.
Mate, I could be wrong, because like all the information is coming really fast and really unpredictable. I don't know if anyone else has heard it. Darcy, have you heard that?
Yeah, it was fairly new, that whole salary cap concept that came in, and I think it was in response to COVID, because a lot of clubs were suffering financially, which is why they had this thing in place. So I think it was along those lines. Yeah,
it was a perfect opportunity. It's a perfect storm, because La Liga having a grudge against the two big clubs in Spain, and Barcelona having the most screwed up, awful accounting system ever, with the worst finances you could have possibly got. I heard quotes that even when you take Messi's contract out of it, right, 95% of their revenue is still going to contracts, player contracts. That's how insanely over budgeted they are with their players, their player deals. And it is astounding, because like there is the La Liga side to it, but there is Barcelona's side. Barcelona needs to take responsibility of how much they stuffed up, because they signed Depay, they signed Aguero, they signed Emerson Real for 9 million euros before they dealt with Messi.
Look, it sounds like Barcelona in such bad financial shape. Like you said, the president just used his salary cap as an excuse to say, you know what, even Messi taking a 50% wage cut, it's still not going to be good enough for the club. We're still going to suffer. Let's blame La Liga, so I don't look like the bad guy, and let's get rid of Messi, who's, yes, he brings a lot of income and marketing, but right now, short term, is such a big expense for us on our books. Could that be the case, you guys reckon?
I think it's plausible. I think it's very plausible, and that's probably one of the things that I was thinking about a little bit outside the box, and people might think you're being stupid, but I don't. Look, I'm not trying to say that Messi knew much about it, but he knew more than the rest of the public knew, so he wasn't as surprised as we were. I think there was a little bit more that was disclosed to him, but playing it this way works out in Barcelona and Messi's favor, whereas it doesn't look like, you know what, we can't keep you, so you got to go. So there's no animosity there. So it looks like it's a third-party external factor that influenced this. You know, Messi doesn't leave as a villain for leaving the club, and the club doesn't look like they kicked him out because their hands were tied. You know, they did as much as they could, and hence why all these presses and everyone had to come out and say, yes, we tried it. He reiterates that he wanted to stay, and he doesn't blame the club. And the club says that we wanted him to stay, and blah, 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 all that sort of shit. So I think there was a little bit of politics involved to make it look more positive in Barcelona's favour.
Make it appear more amicable, eh?
Yes.
Well, I was surprised. I was
No,
surprised
I don't mean to say that they. I mean, to an extent, you can claim they colluded to sort of twist it a little bit to make it look more favourable. You know, Messi, we can't keep you, blah blah blah. But you know, we want you to stay. But instead of saying we're not keeping Messi, and like, you know, when last year before he signed his extension or whatever it was, you know, and we were talking about, oh, is Messi going to leave? Is Messi going to leave? Before he did anything, it looked bad because he wasn't happy with the club and he wasn't happy with their ambition and how they're being run and blah blah blah. It was all negative. Whereas now, everyone leaves on good terms and it looks nice.
I was surprised that when the president did the press conference, I thought he was going to smash La Liga, but he didn't. He was more like La Liga, just following the rules. That's what they're doing. When he came to Messi, he was very nice. And then when he was about some rights that they're fighting on now about selling off 10% of the rights or whatever it is, he smashed the president of La Liga. So you might be right what you're saying in regards to it's not La Liga's fault. They're just doing what they're doing. It's not Barcelona's fault. We did everything possible. It's not Messi's fault. He did everything possible. It's just the circumstances that we're under.
Can't be nobody's fault. Can't be nobody's fault. Someone's at fault here. Yeah. But everyone's trying to withdraw and make it look clean.
No, like I said, Barcelona have to take the lion's share of the responsibility here. La Liga, I believe, saw an opportunity to hurt one of their big clubs. I believe it's partially retribution because of Super League, and because Barcelona and Real Madrid have been running roughshod over La Liga and over the Football Association of Spain for so long. But the lion's share has to go to Barcelona because of how awful they messed their finances up without any planning to sort out Messi earlier. Like I said to you guys weeks ago, the elections were like in February, March. Mm-hmm. You had months to make sure that the contract and that the finances were there and in order.
What were you saying, Darcy?
I was going to say, in terms of that, who to blame for this fiasco, I mean, yeah, Barcelona, the club, been run as a shambles the past few years, and their financial problems have been well known. And I think the previous president, Bartomeu, Laporta threw a lot of shade on him for how it was run previously with the transfer fees they paid for the guys like Dembele and Coutinho. But I'm going to throw it out here. Do you think Messi has some blame for this? I know, look, he's one of the best players ever. No doubting that with what he's accomplished, what he's done for the club. But do you think the demands of Barcelona try to cater for him so much, and even players trying to players took pay cuts just to help him get this contract? Do you think he's part to blame for this? I don't know.
You only do as much as you're allowed to by your employer as well. I mean, you can ask for $2 billion a year if you want to, but it's up to your employer to say yes or no.
Like, that's the thing. They did so much to cater for him. Like, whether I don't know. Like, there's people saying he's part to blame for this, like, as well. Like,
look, sorry,
I think that's a little unfair. If the figures are correct that I'm hearing, and like, let's double check this, right? As from what I understand, the contract that was agreed upon was a 50% wage reduction for Lionel Messi. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yes.
This later,
he said it himself. Yes.
Yeah. So Darcy, like, he's done a lot to try to get this contract in.
I'm talking about previous contract signings and since like past 10 years or so.
Darcy, you have to remember as well, and this is something that's surprising, and this is why they're talking about Laporta's betrayal to Messi. To get elected, and just before the election, so I don't actually remember about Messi's contract being advertised, about the numbers, saying he's hurting Barcelona with the numbers. And Laporta came in and said, yeah, but he's making that 5 times that for Barcelona. He's generating income. He's the biggest income generator for the whole club. You can't say that and on the other hand, do what you just did 2 weeks ago.
Look, I don't know. There's got to be something happening along the years. It's just not just now. I think it's an accumulation of problems.
No, look, I agree. There's one line. Sorry, there's one line that Messi said in his conference yesterday that really stood out. They asked him exactly that. Was there anything else you could do to stay? Like, was there any other, I don't know, sacrifices? The journalist didn't say those words, but he alluded to the fact of, could you play for free for a year or something along those lines? He said, I did everything possible in my power to stay. I did take 50% wage cut, and something along the lines of, there was a little line in there saying, and I wasn't asked to do anything else, or I wasn't sort of offered any other solutions or contracts to stay. It felt like I did this, and then I was told yes, and then no, we can't do it. No circumstances. I'm sorry. So it felt like a lack of negotiation for the last couple of days, maybe, to try to find a solution. That's where the rush thing happens. Yes, like you mentioned about, it's been since February or March, but Messi and Barcelona had a yes up until 3-4 days ago, and then he came back from holidays and it's a no. That's where the rush thing sort of happens. Is, well, let's hold on. Let's sit down. Is there any way possible to make this happen? We don't know if that happened or not, but from the outside, it sounds like it didn't. So
I think, yeah. I was going to sorry, buddy. Like just the way that Barcelona's official statement came out on their website, on their Twitter, it kind of felt rushed. How they just put it all together. Yep, we can't keep him. Oh, we thank you for your services. It kind of felt like, you know,
100%.
There's a longer statement than that, you know. Like
I totally agree with that. It looked absolutely shit, and it, like Johnny said, it gave the impression that it was rushed. Because if they said, you know, we're facing some issues, we're trying to do this or whatever, they either thought we've got it under control and then we'll get it over the line right at the death, and no one needs to know about it, like all this bullshit, or what, they're just going to fucking drag it out as much as possible. But for them to just cut and dry and say, like you said, oh, it didn't work out. Sorry. See you later, Messi. Sorry, we tried everything we could. Like, you're talking about possibly the greatest player of the generation, a one-man club man, he grew up there. He went through the fucking academy, did everything there, made Barcelona what it is. Barcelona without Messi doesn't make sense. And then for them to just be like, sorry, didn't work, have a press conference and see you later. That's the end of it. I don't know. It didn't feel right. That's why I think some people thought that maybe there's a little bit more. Maybe it's not over yet. Maybe there's something. I don't know. One
of the questions, it was worded in the sense of, in football, you play to the last kick of the ball. You play to the final whistle. You play till you can. There's no more chance, absolutely no more chance. Now, in this negotiation, yes, it's done, the journalist said, but we've still got the rest of August. Is there a reason why he was cut short and he's like, yes, this is it, and like there's no turning back? Is there a reason why it wasn't back and forth? And I thought it was a good question, because like pretty much what everyone was thinking. And Messi sort of said, I've done everything on my part, went back to those words, and I was told, and this is the end, and blah, blah, blah. So you get the feeling that not everything was done. Maybe, like I said, it feels like Barcelona are such in a bad financial shape, and they don't want to bring that to light. And this was the easiest way out to start reducing wages, because Laporta said the other day that the players that came in are nowhere near an honest match as much as Messi was. So, or Messi deserves. He used the word deserves.
That's why I'm going with my theory of, you know, this was the best way to sort of sever ties and make it look like they weren't cutting wages. They just couldn't do, you know, what the league needed them to do, and blame someone else for it. So
we've just talked about the financial aspect now of the Barcelona and what this is going to have on them financially, but you got to think as well in football terms now. Like, they were banking on Messi for so long. Do they actually have a plan now post Messi? Like, it's all about Lionel Messi. What's the plan after? And
I think that's
you're
hard.
seeing guys
that's hard for any
Iniesta went, Xavi went, and you're seeing the results in the Champions League past 5 years. They're not just being knocked out in the early stages in the round of 16, but they've been knocked out quite convincingly as well. So is there a plan now for them? Like, what are they going to do? Like, do they have something in mind?
I don't think so. I think survival is in their mind. Survival financially, survival, be competitive on the field. But I may be wrong, and this might come back to bite me in the ass. I can't see them being a powerhouse the next 5 years at least.
I think, but back to
Darcy, you're enjoying this, man.
Oh no! Look,
No, Butch, the song in your voice, mate. Come on.
no, it's a genuine question. It's actually genuine want to know because look, they are important for La Liga. They are important for Spanish football.
Back to your question. Honestly, when a player like that comes and goes, whether it was because he left Barcelona or because he retired, whatever it was, when Messi retires, would it have been, let's say he stayed at Barcelona if it was another year or two, and they hadn't gotten someone else, it's very hard to replace a player like that. Very hard. He's not let's get another number 10 or another playmaker or another creator or another goal scorer. It's a once in a generation player. So they're always going to have a period where they can't recover from the absence of Messi, whether it be because of this or because of that. I think it's just expedited the fact that they need to replace him. Really, how many more years is he going to give him? 2 or 3?
You're the stat man, Darcy. Has any other player scored more goals against Real Madrid than Messi?
Unfortunately, he scored the most.
That's why he's happy. That's why he's happy.
Look, he's tormented us, and look, I hated the fact that we couldn't stop him so many years, 10 years, 11 years, longer than that, 13 years. He's been playing in La Liga at the top level against Real, scoring goals, hat-tricks, doubles at the Bernabeu and stuff like that. But the past couple of years, I can see there's a bit of a drop-off in his form against the top sides. I don't know, the way I saw it from what I've been watching from him. So, and the guy's 34. Like, they've got to have a plan of how they're going to, what are you going to do? Like, Aguero is not going to be the saviour.
No.
That's like, the thing is like, it's like Paddy said, man. First of all, the circumstances do not allow him to have a plan because they thought the contract was done and dusted, for one. For two, a player of his magnitude, it's very hard to transition really well. In any sport, any team sport, whenever you have a dynasty end, it's almost impossible to transition to another dynasty. This is one of the biggest that we've ever seen in football. It's the Pep Guardiola era, well and truly done. It's the Iniesta, Xavi thing. It's the La Masia era is completely done. And like Johnny said, we don't see them as a powerhouse maybe for the next 5, maybe 10 years, right? But that's like long term. Just think about this next season. They are going to have a mammoth task just even making Champions League. And the reason is because while, talent-wise, it's still there, the fans are going to turn on those players very fast as soon as they don't come up with results.
Did you guys see the fan reactions outside the Nou Camp?
Yeah, it's a lot of tears, a lot of anger. Sorry, do you think the fans will turn on the players or they'll turn on the president?
Dude, on both, because I think some of the players have been held out to dry with some of their contract demands. Like, for example, like I said last week, they were trying to get rid of Pjanic for very, for like 10 cents on the dollar kind of value for him because of his massive contract, and he didn't really want to go. He wasn't very motivated to go. Neither was Griezmann. So there's a number of players that held down the wage budget who were doing a Gareth Bale who just didn't want to go. So as soon as these players don't turn up, the fans are gonna skewer them, going to skewer the president, going to skewer everybody. And without their leader, without their captain, honestly, I think it could end up to be a disastrous season for Barcelona.
All right, 2 questions. First one, what does it mean for Messi now?
Who's answering first?
Daddy, why don't you take him in?
This is going to be an interesting one for Messi. I think it's going to affect him more than people think. You saw how emotional he was, even though I noted that he may have known, prior to us knowing or closer to the end that there were some issues. It still would affect him mentally and emotionally, and I think it's going to affect his playing style. Messi is Messi. He's going to go the way it's looking that he's going to end up at PSG. I don't see him not tearing up that league with that team around him. You've got Neymar and Mbappe. They're almost reinvigorating that MSN trio that was at Barcelona and so successful, and the highest scoring trio of all time, mind you. But I don't think he'll be happy. Does it tarnish his legacy? No, because the way it happened, I think, sort of saves him a little bit, that it wasn't his fault. He didn't choose to leave. If he chose to leave and said, I'm going to PSG, people would have said, fuck, whatever. Right, shit. Not a one club man, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I think it'll affect him. I was thinking prior to this happening that he was staying at Barcelona. I thought now we're going to see a different Messi. He's got that monkey off his back with the national team. He's got that international trophy. You're going to see a new Messi. He's going to be free now. The last couple of years, it looked like he was struggling a little bit and people were starting to criticize him. After winning Copa America, I thought this year they're going to explode and Barcelona will actually start to tear it up because they're going to have a free Messi. No burden on his back. Last couple of years of his career, he's just going to go out and enjoy it. But now, I don't know if he's actually going to enjoy it. I don't doubt that he'll win Liga. He'll win the French league. Maybe they'll be competitive in the Champions League, quarters or semis. But I think it'll just fizzle out, unfortunately. He won't do anything notable there because he's not going to be there long enough to have, records and all this sort of stuff happen. So everyone's going to remember him from his time at La Liga. Whereas if he stayed at La Liga when he finished, they would have said, most goal scorer, most assists, most this, most decorated player in La Liga, blah, 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 history. Now, what's he going to do in 2 years at PSG?
Unless he gets to Atletico.
Napoli, mate, Napoli.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I was hoping Perez would do his magic and get him for free.
Impossible.
But then you would have loved him or you would have hated him?
Out of the blue somewhere. But yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Because he's been at Barcelona since he was 13 years old, correct me if I'm wrong. So he's been longer in Spain than he'd been in Argentina. That was his home for so long, for his wife and kids as well. Even he said the decision for him to initially to stay at Barcelona was for his family. And then now all of a sudden, in these past few days, it's all gone. It's all changed. Gone to Ligue 1, French league, you think they'll take that in the canter, but I guess the legacy could live there is winning their first ever Champions League with PSG. And there's big pressure on them too. With the squad that they have, with the players that they brought in, not just Messi, but with Ramos, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Wijnaldum, this is big pressure on them. And Pochettino now has got a big task on him.
Yeah, that is true. Like I've got to say, they have a big task on them. There's a lot of pressure on that club. I totally agree with what you're both saying because like what Fatty's saying is like, yeah, he's going to go a different player. He's not the same player he was because he's going to Paris. It's a different league. The quality of play is a little different, a little lower even. And he's going to a club that I don't think there's a sentimental reason to be there. He doesn't have anyone, like I understand he's close to Neymar and such, but it wasn't like he was having Aguero there with him. It wasn't like he was going to Napoli where he was going to do some kind of existential, win Scudetto for Maradona kind of thing. So it really feels like he's going to get paid and to just finish his football career. And right now, with the influx of players that they've had, there's going to be some chemistry issues. And like hypothetically, right? Ramos did not have a good season this past year. He was quite injured for quite a large part of it. Who's to say he doesn't, get injured straight away or he's not the same player? And then who's to say Messi, who's already come in dejected and demoralized, is not going to necessarily turn it up? And then him and Neymar have had some chemistry issues in the past. Neymar left Messi to get away from him. So for me, it's not a given that he's going to become a success. He's going to become a success at PSG, or that PSG is going to be a success with him.
That's not a given for sure. I do think PSG suit him for this time of his career, though. I think going to Man City right now would be too much of a task at his age.
But it's different, Johnny, if he chose to leave.
Yeah, 100%. But he said in the...
You know what I think as well? I think he doesn't have many options in terms of where to go. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. I don't think he's got options of where to go because, and I'll say why. Forget about wage aside. Because he can go to Saudi Arabia and get whatever money. Or go to Qatar or bullshit. That's not the point. I don't think there's a team big enough for his stature. Barcelona was him because Barcelona grew with his stature. I don't think there's a team big enough for Messi's stature to go there because he's not going to go there and be, let's build a team around him. He's going to join an established team. So really, where was he going to go? It was either going to be PSG or
do you
Man
think
City.
so? Do you think that will stop teams from reaching out and contacting?
Who's going to contact him? No, I
Okay,
don't
Juve, I
think-
thought,
first
Let's be honest.
of all, he said when they asked him about PSG at the press conference, he said a number of clubs have called in the last few days.
Of course he'd say that. Of course he'll say
I
that.
don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's smart enough to play the game like that. I think it's just he's too honest, too straightforward. He said at the press conference, he goes, "Last year I wanted to leave, and I said it. This year I wanted to stay, and I said it." I don't think. And knowing you're the best player in the world, as if your phone's not going to ring. As soon as you know you're available, people have a stab. Come play here. You might find that from what I heard, and this is from the Argentinian sports shows, Chelsea and Tottenham both inquired. Man City inquired.
But stop, come on, bro. Tell me, did these people genuinely think they have a chance? That's what I'm getting at. The only clubs that have that stature to have a chance of getting Messi would be PSG or Man City. Maybe Chelsea, but I don't see him fitting their style.
Would you not have a crack? Would you not pick up the phone and say, "Hey, would you be interested? What do you have to lose?"
They call that delusions of grandeur. If Tottenham think they're going to get Messi, delusions of grandeur.
You're absolutely right. I think Tottenham is quite deluded, but hey, points to them for trying to shoot their shot, right? But I think for me, I think I could totally see Juventus trying. I could have totally saw Napoli trying. I think the idea is because Messi accepted a contract with a 50% wage reduction for Barca. Maybe some of these clubs are like, "Oh, you're going to give us the same deal," and chances are Messi's like, no. If I have to leave, I'm going to go for my full value that I'm worth, and there's only one club that can afford that.
Look, Serie A would have been good. I think something that we haven't spoken about yet, and it's a massive influence, is his family. And last year, when the whole thing about him leaving was happening, I think PSG went up above and beyond in regards to what they were offering with his family, the back and forth travel, the school, blah, 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 blah. There's a number of factors that make the family feel comfortable. And we know that's his number one priority. So I think that's a selling factor more than the actual sporting challenge itself.
Because he's already been there, done that. He's achieved everything. He doesn't really need to go to achieve anything. What's he going to go and say? Yes, I won Liga. Fuck.
Well, he goes, "I want to win more. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win." So he wants to go to a club where he can challenge for the Champions League. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it is a balance. Like, you're not going to go to the smallest club out there or whatever. You want to find a club that you're competitive in, but like you said, Johnny, it's not his main priority.
Second question is, what does this mean for La Liga? Now, the greatest player to ever play in your country, in your league, has left. Okay, the numbers show it, the records show it, the marketing power show it, the number of years he's been there show it. Not me talking crap, Akram, don't laugh at me. It's reality. He's the best player to play in the league. Is it going to take a hit? What do you guys think?
Yeah, look, it will take a big hit, I think, because a lot of the viewership, the fan base was around the Messi, Ronaldo players back when Ronaldo was in La Liga. Ronaldo left, and you could tell the impact it had on that. And then now with Messi gone, I mean, what's there? I mean, the only thing that could probably help the numbers there in terms of revenue and viewership is maybe signings like Mbappe and Haaland at the moment. But even then, that might not be enough. So they've got a big task on their hands to get the league afloat. And, you've got clubs struggling there like Valencia. Their problems are documented. Barcelona's problems are documented now. And even Real Madrid as well. So we'll see what's going to happen this season. What signings are going to happen? We've still got end of August to go. So we'll see who's going to come into the league. And I can tell now it's not going to be the La Liga that we had from early 2000s to 2010 when the superstars wanted to play for Real and Barca, and Valencia was strong, and Sevilla were a strong team. So yeah, they're gonna feel it.
We've come a long way. Sorry to cut you off. Come a long way from 10 years ago, where it was the Mourinho, Guardiola, Clásicos, and the superstars. And it's not just Messi leaving, but you mentioned it's Real Madrid's two centre backs have left. Varane and Ramos have left. All these players. Yeah. When was the last time Real Madrid signed a player? Alaba came in, but before that, when was the last time they
didn't sign anyone last season? Last season, no one. And Eden Hazard was supposed to be the the star signing for the club for the league as well. He hasn't played one Clasico. 4 Clásicos hasn't played. For God's sake.
No, sir.
This is sorry, but every time I think about it, it really annoys me. But yeah.
So the league itself, like you said, it's losing that attention. The Real Madrid Barca Clásico this year, it's not going to have the same appeal that it had in the last 15 years, because I'm thinking Ronaldinho was there before Messi. So you're thinking 15 years of, and before that you had the Galacticos. So you're looking back at 20 years of a good Clásico.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because even further, because in the 90s you had Barcelona Dream Team. You had Rivaldo Romario. You had Raúl on one side, Roberto Carlos. In the 90s, there was still quite competitive fixtures. I believe what was it, the 2000 Champions League at RC? The two met in the semi-final, right?
2000 it was Valencia and Barcelona in one semi, and Real in the other semi. It was an all Spanish final.
That's how competitive La Liga was. But you're right, guys.
Deportivo won.
Sorry?
Deportivo won it that year too. So it just goes to show how competitive it was back then. Yeah,
100%. And like what you're saying, Darcy, is like, look, you're going to have the neutral fans who are going to miss Messi, right? And who tuned into La Liga and Barca because of Messi. But La Liga does well when Barca and Real have a heated rivalry, when both clubs are two of the best clubs in the world, when they're doing well, right? And so not only are you missing the Messi fans, you're missing the fans that are just wanted to watch El Clasico. Like you said, Johnny, it's going to be like maybe 30 years since the last time you had to find an El Clasico this demoralized, lacking their stars, lacking that energy and that enthusiasm and momentum, right? Because in the last 30 years, maybe you've had times where Real were down with Barca are up, or vice versa. You've never had a period of time for a very long time where both clubs were experiencing that downturn. However, at the same time, I'm quite optimistic for La Liga, because hopefully if they are going to be fair income about their salary cap and they are going to enforce, financial fair play, hopefully that it is an opportunity for some of these smaller clubs to sort their finances out, do the way Serie A is, which is, it's slowly on a bit of an upturn. And Spain does have fantastic youth academies. Sevilla, Villarreal, Real Betis, they all have very talented squads that if they were in other leagues, I still believe that they would do really well in some of these other leagues.
Do you know what, Ak? They have to enforce the salary cap now, because if they let anyone off,
100%.
Everyone's like, you can't let your best player leave, and now you're taking it easy on a Valladolid or whatever.
No. Next week, Real Madrid is going to announce Mbappe signing. 2 days later, they're going to take it back.
Well, yeah, I think as well, one thing I'll add, La Liga, they're trying really hard the past 10 years or so to market the league overseas, especially in the Asian market, playing games at midday over in Spain to target the Asian market. So they're doing a lot of marketing just around the world as well, promoting La Liga. Look, maybe it's a bit too late in terms of catching up to the Premier League, and they're trying to get to that level. But yeah, there's a bit of work, but this season will be interesting. I'll be curious to see the viewership and curious to see how they perform in Europe as well, across Europa League and the Champions League.
We'll see. Look, maybe we're all wrong, and these Clásicos are going to be off the hook. 5-4 scorelines and
that's fantastic.
Red cards, tussles here and there, and yeah.
So
I don't know. I think it's a good opportunity for the rest of La Liga teams to sort of step up now. The like Akram said, we've never had a period where both Barcelona and Real Madrid were sort of in a lull or a demise, if you want to call it that. So it'll be interesting to see if the likes of Sevilla and whatnot can really mount serious challenge. I know Atletico's been up there, but it'd be nice to see someone else pushing for that top four, make it a bit more of an even playing field.
So we all thought after Messi stayed last year, after this new president came in, we all thought that's it. He's retiring in Barcelona. He's going to be there for the rest of his playing career. Which brings me to the topic tonight of one club players. There's not many out there in regards of high quality for a number of factors. One, a lot of players that are forced out. You mentioned Xavi, for example. You mentioned, I know, for example, Raúl and Casillas. Real Madrid who would have loved to stay the whole playing careers. So sometimes it's not up to the player. Sometimes it's the club forces them out. Then you've got the other side where clubs want to hold on to them, players want to leave, want to experience different things. I can't see Zlatan ever being a one club player, for example. When you got that type of
Zlatan or Nicolas Anelka. For that matter.
oh wow.
Yeah, a journeyman qualified.
But let me start with one that's very rare. And it's rare because it's the only one I can think of, and I might be wrong here, but the only one I can think of that actually was a one club player, not in his own country.
Oh.
And Fatty's going to get angry when I give the answer.
Oh my God, here we go.
But can you guys think of anyone who was a one club player, not in his own country?
Oh, put us on the spot here.
Come on. I want to see Fatty's reaction when I say this.
Fuck, bro. I don't know if I want to.
Are you ready?
Well,
Are you ready?
There's going to be some technicality bullshit.
Ryan Giggs.
Johnny, I knew it was going to be some technicality. Fuck off. He's British. Same shit. Nah, he's British, bro. Fuck off. He's British.
Come on.
He's British, bro. Fuck off, Johnny.
English Premier League. He's not English.
He's British.
No.
He's British.
He's
They're all fucking down to
hiding.
the. Listen, when they go to the fucking Olympics, who do they play under?
When they go to the World Cup, what does he play under?
Bro, fuck off. That's it. He's British. Fuck that shit off.
He's a one club man. That's it.
And technically, I was right. I can't find anyone. You guys might have more info. I can't find anyone with more games played at the one club than Ryan Giggs.
Yeah, he played like close to 1,000. Didn't he?
963. Yeah.
Yeah, he was around class at 92, and yeah, he stuck it out. And even towards the end of his playing days, he was on the periphery, he had that bench role, and
Yeah.
He actually was there before the class of 92 because I watched the United way yesterday. Actually, yeah,
It was before 92.
He was there before Cantona
92
came in.
92 was when they became known, as that whole group that came together.
Yeah.
There were some older players in that class. 92 was the younger players that came in and really formed it together. Prior to that, there was a few players that were already around. Giggs being one of them.
Actually, I watched the United way last night, and they're talking about the coach that was there before Fergie. He got sacked because he slept with the physio's wife. So maybe Ryan Giggs was around that time as well, and he was inspired. Maybe it became a United tradition.
Oh,
I don't know.
Lost his Wales job because of that stuff too.
Maybe John Terry became mates with him and started hanging out. Who knows? But look, it doesn't take away from the 13 Premier Leagues he won with United.
Massive.
And 2 Champions Leagues. That's a massive achievement for someone in this era to be a one club player. Is not a small thing. Maybe it was a little bit easier back in the day, but I think it's much harder now, isn't it, Ak? Wouldn't you say so?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Definitely. I think it's an amazing achievement that he was able to reach. I certainly think that but there are a number of players of that stature that did achieve it. But I think when you think about one club players, he's probably the first that most people come to mind. Except, just now when you tested us and he didn't come to mind. But then I think when I think of one club players, I think of Totti.
You think of Totti. There's another one before we get to Totti. There's another one that I want to talk about because it's the second in number of games played. He's Italian as well.
Maldini.
Maldini, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'd say the greatest defender in history.
100%. One of the greatest captains, one of the greatest defenders, one of the greatest clubmen. The reason why I think of Totti more than even Maldini is because it's easier to stay with your club when your club is one of the best in the world and you're getting the 13th Premier League, you're getting the Serie A, you're getting the Champions League. Totti didn't have that kind of success. He really had to sacrifice to stick with it, eh?
That's true.
One Scudetto in 2001, But yeah, he loved the city of Rome. The people of Rome loved him. It felt right, amazing connection there. And even times of there was a time Perez tried to sign for Real. He goes, no, Rome, AS Roma is my home and place. And credit to him, sticking it out for a club that is a big team, but didn't quite have the same success as the Milans, the Inters, the Juves, and he could have easily moved abroad even to get that success, get that Champions League. But he just has that connection with the city of Rome that made him stay there.
Yeah, Totti is definitely a legend there for Rome, for Roma. It can't be understated. As Akram said, it's very hard to stay somewhere where you're not getting that success, especially for high caliber, high profile players like Totti, who's a big player in the national team as well during his time. So he wasn't just a part-time player.
Yeah.
Australian fans will definitely remember him as well.
No comment.
But
yes,
Maldini won 5 Champions Leagues as well for Milan, which is massive.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, his dad obviously played for Milan as well. Was his dad a one club player as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
So that Maldini, I believe so.
Cesare, yeah.
Sorry, Adasi?
Was it Cesare Maldini, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like what's really unique and what's really crazy about AC Milan and how high they were and how far they've fallen is you had that father and son transition between Cesare Maldini and Paolo Maldini, but you also had that transition between another one club player, another legend in Franco Baresi, who transitioned from you went from Baresi to Paolo Maldini. So the last for 30 straight years, you had the top defender in the world.
But also, to be fair, you were talking about a period where the Serie A was the best league in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's where people wanted to be. That 80s era and late 80s and early 90s is where it was. That's where it was at. Serie A. So
you have someone.
There was no reason to go anywhere else.
Who was Baresi's centre back partner in Milan? Do you remember?
Costa Curta?
Exactly, Costa Curta, and he was apart from having going on loan on his first season ever, he was a one club player as well. So he gets to show Milan, he gets to show Serie A, he gets to show a lot of those factors.
I think that's also the era of football, right? There's a lot of loyalty back then. Now it's different. Now it's money based. It's very hard to get that nowadays. Whereas in the 80s, 90s, it was different. It was easier for a player to be loyal for a club that looked after him because the riches weren't on offer. They weren't the riches that there is now. So, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from what they've achieved and the loyalty that they've shown to the clubs they were at. I'm just saying that in that era, loyalty was a lot more prized.
And that's what makes Totti so good, like you guys were talking about before.
Yeah.
He didn't go chasing the money, but he chased the heart to the city and the club. I would have loved to see Donnarumma, a one club player. That would have been amazing. So from the age of 16.
But he's made a few comments about money and whatnot, so you already knew that was not going to be the case because he was never going to get the money he wanted, nor deserved, if we're going to be fair, at Milan.
Another one club player from Liverpool he's got a third amount of games in this list.
Yeah.
Jamie. So
Jamie Carragher.
What do we think of him?
I mean, I think really highly of Jamie Carragher. I love my Liverpool players. I've always had a soft spot for Liverpool, especially now since I've gotten to know Fatty. So, I really enjoyed Carragher. Whatever.
So, fun fact: Jamie Carragher in Liverpool, he won every single trophy except one.
Yeah, we know that. We know which one that is. Hey, Alex Muscat.
He always gets a mention. Every time we speak about Liverpool, somehow Alex Muscat's name comes up.
Because when I think of Liverpool, I think of fuckwits, and then he pops in my head straight away.
Oh, he's going to love that.
Jamie Carragher, for me, overrated as a defender. He was solid. He was an old school. He was an old school English right back, fielding at centre back sometimes. Nothing special. Just did his job, did what he had to do. It was more about his loyalty rather than his playing ability.
So just to clear it up here, Jamie Carragher overrated, Van Dijk overrated, Mo Salah, Alisson, Steve Gerrard, they're all overrated, right?
The only one I rate is Steve Gerrard. That's it.
Okay. Just to clarify.
Clarify.
Common denominator, Liverpool.
I think so, Darcy. The next one I wanted to talk about is probably one of my favourite players in the Premier League's history. They asked Zinedine Zidane, what does it feel like to be the best player in the world? And do you know what his response was?
Yes, I know this one. I'll get Fadi and Akram have a go. I'll just red hair.
Paul Scholes.
Keep going.
So they asked.
Aussie.
So when they asked Zinedine Zidane, who's the best player in the world? How does it feel to be the best player in the world? What did he reply, Darcy?
He goes, "Don't ask me, ask Paul Scholes." Or something like that.
Yeah, which is a big statement coming from Zizou.
Is that quite validated? By the way, is that true that he was referring to Scholes?
I haven't heard him. I haven't heard him coming from him, but I've read it from so many different sources, reliable sources, that makes you think like he must have said it because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
No, I think Scholes posted something about it as well, thanking him or something along those lines. If I'm not mistaken, I'll find it. But yeah, no, it is legitimate. Paul Scholes is very highly thought of. I love Paul Scholes. He's a fuckwit of a person, his character, but football-wise, absolute amazing midfielder.
Personal beef? Did I miss something? Do you have some personal beef with him? Or?
No personal beef. I watched him at the peak of his playing career in the Premier League, early 2000s. So obviously, there was a big rivalry there with Arsenal, but it was a player that you looked at and thought, fuck, you wish you had that sort of player in your team. Amazing player. Xavi spoke very highly of him as well.
Oh, yeah.
So they can't, I mean, when players of that caliber, you know, your Xavis and your Zidane speak about a player like that, there's got to be something to it.
He's got some cracking goals too over the years. You look at the top goals of the Premier League history, he was up there.
Volleys from corners. I remember that volley from a corner against Bradford City, direct from a corner. United wearing that navy blue with the white pinstripe across. And Beckham found him in the edge of the ATR box, which is a routine play that they practice at training, and waits outside about 20 yards out on the volley, no bounce from Beckham corner, bang, buries it.
Yeah. Look, England's,
a couple of goals like that.
England's had obviously Bobby Charlton. They've had Lampard, Gerrard. To me, Scholes.
They had plenty.
I love Lampard. I love Lampard. But to me, Scholes is just a different level. He was like he was like Kante and Lampard combined, if you can say that, or Lampard and Gerrard. All right. He was a gun. He was a gun. I'm going too far with this. Goalkeeper. Any goalkeepers come to mind? One club players. I've got two.
Well, I mean, obviously, you're going to talk about. There's two that I mean they should be considered, but obviously they technically moved. So Casillas is one.
No, I played a Porto, dickhead.
Huh?
No, saying there should be.
I know. But if you talk about should be, we're going to be here all day. There's De Rossi, there's Gerrard.
Sorry, bro. I'll retract my fucking comment.
Wow. So
man. Do you know what it is, Paddy?
Like he throws the bait because he wants you to say something, but when you don't say what he wants, he gets angry.
You know what it is, Paddy? You can't throw Real Madrid players in here because I've looked so many, like 18 different websites. I couldn't find any World Cup players in the last 150 years.
There's two in the last 20. Two in the last 30.
Who?
Don't fuck with Badassi, man. Seriously.
Chendo, right back, and Manuel Sanchez.
Who?
Manuel Sanchez.
Bless you. Who?
What's that?
Manuel Sanchez and Chendo.
Well, they played 3 games and retired.
Chendo was one of the greatest right backs Real Madrid's ever had. And he played like an astounding amount of games in the 80s for Real Madrid. But who was the other one, Darcy?
Manuel Sanchez.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it was quite a long time ago.
Yeah, he was a centre back. He retired in 2001.
See what I mean, Fatty? Nobody's.
Oh,
Anyways, goalkeepers. There's one that's probably the biggest name in goalkeeping history. We didn't think about it.
Would it be
Lev Yashin?
Sorry? One of you.
Lev Yashin?
Lev Yashin, yes. Yeah, he's it's a one club player, obviously different eras once again. But for a Russian goalkeeper to play in the Russian league and be considered as probably the greatest goalkeeper of all time is a massive achievement.
Yeah.
And the other one I've got is Rogerio Ceni from São Paulo. I think he's played over 1,000 over 1,000
And
games.
he's scored a few goals too.
Yeah. I guess you probably watched Chilla do it in the 90s and got inspired and said, I want to be like him, which is okay. A lot of people have. Fatty, anyone that you can think of? Come on, I've got one here for you. Think of alcohol. You think of alcohol, you think of?
Mr. Arsenal, of course. You can't forget Mr. Arsenal, but you fucking get angry every time I mention something related to Arsenal. You'll have a jab, so I didn't say shit. But yes, right. Mr. Arsenal, Tony Adams.
Yes.
He was Mr. Arsenal for a reason.
Why?
Yeah.
Fucking what do you mean why? He was very loyal. He grew up there. He went through everything. He was there when we fucking finally won the double 98. He captained the 98 double winning team. So big player. Big player for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And he was still involved after he left. I don't know where he is now. He's coaching lower league teams and whatnot.
And he helped
tried
in La Liga.
Tried in Chelsea. He's had to go at Granada 4 years ago.
I remember that. That was a failure. What the fuck? He couldn't even speak Spanish. Why'd he go? What a joke.
He did help the economy in North London's pubs during the 90s and 2000s as well. And another one that I've got down here is Gary Neville, obviously from that era as well, the Fergie era, the United era.
Yeah.
It's definitely another name worth mentioning, winning so much. And one thing that stood out for me was in the podcast that we spoke, I think it was number 20 actually, and we spoke about Man United's greatest 11, and we had Neil come in and speak about the team. He was saying that Gary Neville was probably one of the weakest technically players in the greatest 11 team, but because of the leadership skills, the kind of player he was, his attitude, the way he gave it 100%, he was a standout because of that. So definitely worth mentioning.
Again, referring back to the point where he was obviously involved in United's most successful era, or the most successful Premier League team, let's call it that, and that whole era where, ridiculous amount of Premier League titles and FA Cups under Sir Alex, Champions League. So he was involved in all that. Again, no reason to move. I don't recall anyone really making a play for him, any other bigger clubs, which is a testament to what you said. Technically, he wasn't the greatest player. So I don't recall any of the, Real Madrids or Juves or any of the bigger European clubs going for him, or any transfer rumors like that. He was pretty content where he was. He did his job. He did it well. And he was part of a system that worked. On his own, individually, he wasn't great, but as part of that system.
But to be fair, Fatty,
he did his job.
If you're a big English player, right? Do you ever see these big teams coming, the Juves and the Real Madrids and the Barças coming after you? I mean, Beckham was a marketing tool more than anything else. So
okay, I'll give you one before Beckham. You have Steve McManaman went to Real Madrid. You had Michael Owen, again, Real Madrid. So it's there, but what I'm trying to say is these bigger clubs would only come in if you're an exceptional talent. If they look and think, yeah, this player can add something to us, not we need someone solid. There's always an anomaly here and there. Thomas Gravesen going to Real Madrid, but for the most part, they would look for an outstanding players. Neville just wasn't that outstanding player, but loyalty, professionalism, yes, absolutely.
It wasn't. Yeah, I'd say Fatty was pointing out if they had exceptional talent. I think it was more of the case in that maybe 80s and 90s. You had Ian Rush that had a go at Juve, and then Paul Gascoigne think went to Lazio
Yep.
in the 90s. You know, they were great gifted player Gascoigne was. I think now recent years it's changed. You had guys like Ashley Cole going to Roma. You've got Chris Smalling at Roma now. Ashley Young at Inter. Kieran Trippier now at Atletico Madrid. So it's changing a bit now. But yeah, back in the day, yeah, you're right. I think they had to be like exceptionally talented playmakers.
You know what's funny, because like we're talking about how like back in the day there was a you know, it was really difficult. It started to pick up for Darcy, and yet the greatest English export into Europe happened in the 60s in John Charles going to Juventus.
Yeah.
Easily the greatest English export that England ever sent out to Italy or Spain or anywhere else.
Lineker did that in Barcelona as well. That was
Yeah.
a big,
Yeah, that's right, Lineker.
that was a big move as well. Did Kevin Keegan play
Yeah.
in Europe somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I can't off the top of my head remember which club it was though.
The last name I've got in this list of one club players is Puyol. He's another one.
I does it.
No, you're right. No, actually, to be honest, he was one of the few Barca players I had a lot of respect for.
Why?
The way he played the game, he was actually a really good defender, and he had a bit of class in him, I think.
Fucking Carlos Puyol, John, for some reason, always reminds me of JP. I don't know why.
It's the
Just that
hair and the energy that.
Yeah, always like that. Yeah. Fucking veins popping.
Yeah.
So,
look, that's a good list. I mean,
yeah.
There's
more to that list. Are you just calling defenders? Is that it?
Yeah, because Totti's an amazing defender.
Fuck yeah, they said mention Totti. All right, relax.
Okay, give me a couple more names before we go.
I'll give you one.
Go.
A little obscure one. Matt Letizia, legend at Southampton.
Yeah.
Never left. He only had a few caps for England. A lot of the other clubs wanted him, especially when he was, at the peak of his career, and he chose to stay at Southampton at the Dell back then, before they had the St Mary's Stadium of Light.
Cracking goals too.
He's
scored some crazy goals. Yeah, Matt Letizia. That's my notable mention.
Last chance. Anyone else before we go? No one comes to mind?
No, I think you've covered the list well.
Perfect. Hey, Darcy, just before we go, I want to let you know that this jersey is being kept warm just for you.
Ooh.
Hey, look.
I was wondering when that's going to happen. We're waiting for that.
With Barcelona's troubles and financial struggles, they need all the help they can get. So any promotion, anything, just to help exposure for the club, happy to kind of help them a little bit. Yeah.
So when Gladys says we're allowed to, we'll get together. I've got this one with the...
Oh, knock everything over.
Messi.
The Messi, it's up to you if you want the Messi, or there's the one without. It's your choice. I know you've always wanted to wear this for all your life, and this is your
do you have a Figo one?
Figo? No.
Figo one.
Sorry. I don't have any of the ones that Real Madrid tried to poach or needed.
Did
all right. So, Ak, last words before you go.
All right, guys. Well, this is about the time in the video. Like the video. Judging by everyone's likes in the last few weeks, you guys are going to ignore me when I ask you to like the video. But please do. It really helps the video grow and helps the channel grow and get more eyeballs on it. But thanks for your consideration, and thanks for Fatty laughing halfway through every week.
That's amazing, Ak.
That's probably why people don't like, because they don't hear the first part. They laugh through it.
Yeah, because of you.
Sorry.
On that note, guys, thanks again through these Zoom sessions. We'll be back next week. Send us a message. Let us know what you want to hear, what kind of topics you want us to discuss. If you want to jump on the podcast, we've been having some guests over the last few weeks, so don't be afraid to jump on as well. All right? See you guys next time. Bye-bye.